Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
10th anniversary celebrations.
What, a Schweeb?
In 2010, as part of their 10th anniversary celebrations, Google awarded huge sums of money to 5 projects, small companies, startups and inventions that they thought could change the world. Those 5 included some names you might recognize. The most famous is Khan Academy, which was only a couple of years old then.
Really?
But Google also gave $1 million to an invention intended to revolutionize public transit, the Schweeb. This is the prototype, set up as a racetrack, and it's still here in New Zealand.
Schweeb is effectively a bicycle on a monorail. These have been specifically designed so that they can swing horizontally. We get up to speeds of about 60 kilometres an hour for someone that's doing really well. The original theme of this was to turn them into a transport system. The racetrack in our environment is certainly better because we're an adventure park. If it was just a setup where we would just cruise around the park, we don't think it would have had enough impact. The electric sides of them are off the shelf. Everything else is built by us here in Rotorua. The initial ones were built with Jeff Barnett, the inventor, when he first got the ride going. They then adapted that very quickly because there was a few things that didn't work. And then when there was change of management, we made electric pedal assists. There was the family market that were dying to do it, but they found it a bit too hard to get them going. 2017-18 is when the next generation, the 3rd generation of pods came in. Sorry about that.
There are some obvious drawbacks with the design. What if the person in front pedals slowly? How do you overtake?
Right.
You can't. The marketing
Oh,
for the
God, I would be so pissed.
Instead, you just make contact with the car in front and push it along to and build up a train of those pods moving along the track, all working together. How about up hills? What if you get tired? Or downhills if you need to brake? Or what if you're approaching a track switch and it's not locked into place yet? Well, the marketing says that in the final version, there'd be electric boosters available on uphills, which, to be fair, there are now in this version, and also brakes on each pod, and a central control centre somewhere to watch over traffic and safety, which adds such a ridiculous amount of complexity and points of failure.
Right.
And their answer for what if you're wearing a skirt in this position was, don't.
It has to swing. You would have too much tension and torsion on the pods if it stayed straight as you were going this way. So it is designed to swing, and it's got dampeners so that it takes up the swinging motion and slows it down. It's one of the rides here at Velocity Valley that anybody can do, from 3 years old right up to 90 years old.
This is what transit nerds call a gadget barn, something that looks and sounds futuristic, but is actually worse than a more down-to-earth option. Instead of this, cities could just build separated...
That is an awesome definition of something, yeah. That is needed.
But is actually worse than a more down-to-earth option. Instead of this, cities could just build separated bike lanes. They'd handle more people, reach further, cost far less, require very little maintenance, and allow overtaking. It's pretty obvious that the Schweeb was not the worldwide future of public...
Yeah, this is one of those things where I'm curious how it even got this far. I feel like it should have been like, oh yeah, how do you overtake someone? How do you do this and that? Isn't this just better and more simple? But it actually got this far.
Transit, but somehow, out of 150,000 ideas, Google looked at this and said, yeah, spend $1 million on more studies to see if it can get rolled out.
Jeez.
And the prototype was already built at the time. A lot of the media back then were skeptical.
They had lots of opportunities. Most people know about the Google campus. They also had the Olympics. They had BP Oil. They had these big ones lined up, but they just never came through. And so we actually bought the IP and everything off the original owners. We've already got a franchise started in Korea, so we're going to be working pretty hard to get more on the go. More as a ride experience. We're still in that zone where to turn it into a transport system takes a lot of work, but yeah, it's definitely something that everybody asks us about.
It looks so crazy.
This is fun. There is a kind of retro-futuristic kick in pedaling your own monorail pod. I did try to reach out to the original inventor for comment, because of course that's good practice for something like this, but I couldn't even find a way to contact him. Please don't try if you're watching this. Just please don't. I guess he wants to be left in peace. Hopefully you can respect that as well. The truth is, I don't know how I'd feel if something that I'd invented, something that got $1 million in funding, something that presumably I'd have
ended up in a theme park.
Ended up being a strange novelty ride for tourists. But I do know I'd be really annoyed if people
pretty cool park. Yeah, I just cool idea, but I just $1 million for just here. Sure. I mean, Google's that's nothing to them, so sure. Hey, Khan Academy. Khan Academy's great. Awesome video, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Should I do another one? I like Tom Scott videos. The Olds Remarkable Elevator. Yeah, sure.
Big industrial inventions in the 21st century are made by research and development teams at enormous corporations. They don't come out of somewhere like this, a traditional workshop and foundry that can still be powered by steam sitting in a rural town in Australia. And yet, a screw is a very simple machine. It takes rotational motion and turns it into linear motion. So you can rotate
I was always confused how Archimedes' screw worked, because wouldn't, like, as it turns, wouldn't it just fall back down to the next notch? But you have to angle it, I guess, and then have a really tight seal on one side of the screw, I guess.
Screw the stuff down. It takes rotational motion and turns it into linear motion. So you can rotate this screw, the stuff down there will get picked up, and friction will stop it falling down again right away. That's called a vertical screw conveyor. And you'll find something like this in factories around the world for lifting and moving bulk powder or grain or sand. What would happen if, instead of rotating the screw, you instead kept it still and just rotated this cylinder around it? My guess when someone showed me this was, well, nothing. The cylinder will just rotate in place. It's just a cylinder with a couple of scoops at the bottom.
Is it because the material he's lifting, what is that, bird seed or something? Like, has enough friction to, like, act like a solid? I don't know. I don't know. He's a witch.
If you're confused by that, so was I.
The Olds name came from Cornwall. My grandfather came out in 1868 at 18 years of age. Dad made his first engine, a steam engine, in 1906 when he was 16. 1925 my older brother was born. He's still going. And I came along in 1930. We served an apprenticeship under our father unofficially from when we were kids. We try to keep up with the times as much as we can, but using traditional methods. Just before Christmas, I think 2003, we had this new mixer that we'd bought. It was $20,000 odd.
He was
and we
15 when World War II happened.
We're going to use it. Nothing seemed suitable for the elevation of the sand up to the hopper over the top of the machine. And I woke one morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, with this crazy idea and made a sketch of it. And
I had to sneeze, I thought.
Went back with this crazy idea and made a sketch of it, and went back to bed and went to sleep. And the next day I came to work and I said, I've had a thought about making this, and no, that won't work, they said. And I said, well, we're going to try it. It was only a matter of days or a week, and we had the first little machine operating. We drove it with an electric drill. We set about making a decent machine then, and we put it in the foundry. It did the job. Amazing. People were coming to have a look at it, and I realised we should put a patent application in on it. This was so different, I thought it'd be easily protected, because rotating the casing instead of the screw, you can see that it's different. We spent a lot of money on patent coverage, and the name Olds Elevator has been applied to it. They're made in America and Holland and France and Spain and you name it. With this elevator, it's a full flow, and there's no movement of air virtually except what might be between the particles of sand. So there's really no dust generated by the machine, only where it falls back through the open air. This is also a very important thing where you're handling dusty, explosive materials. Corn dust is highly explosive. Sugar, big explosion in USA a few years back, and it demolished the refinery. The clearance between the inside of the rotating tube and the screw allows product to go through it and not be damaged, not crushed. It's a very forgiving type of machine because it can be in very poor condition and it'll work. It's been found that it's a more accurate volumetric feeder than a lot of the devices that are being used.
This took a while to get my head around. Visually, rotating the cylinder instead of the screw is very different, but from a physics perspective, it's really not. If you rotate the screw, it looks like each level in there is moving upwards, but that's just an illusion. It's just rotating horizontally. Stuff gets lifted because as the screw rotates, the particles at the top of the pile are shoved out of the way, and they prefer to take the easy route upwards through air instead of pushing the heavy bulk below out of the way. When you rotate the cylinder, exactly the same thing is happening. The buckets underneath force the particles to go somewhere, and when they're pushed into the screw, they take the easy route up through air, and the next ones do the same, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and everything keeps going up and taking the easy.
Wait, but why do you even need the
It is counterintuitive, and look, I am trying to not make this be an infomercial. I checked, and yeah, this is being used all over the world now, from food handling to solar power towers. This is a good new way of lifting bulk stuff. So what I really don't understand is, through the 20th century, a century of industrialization and automation, how did no one spot this earlier?
I don't know why somebody else hasn't thought of it. In USA, they were calling me Archimedes too.
True.
It's different, it's useful, and if it helps people, well, that's great.
Thank you to Peter Olds and all the team at Olds Engineering. You can find out more about them and about the Olds elevator at the link in the description.
Love you, Tom. All right, guys, that's enough for now. And yeah, I'm feeling better, and we're gonna do a history video. Love to see you on the Discord if you'd like to join. The link is down there. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.